So why was her name erased from history? Because Hatshepsut did something dangerous. She proved that kingship was not only inherited, it could be claimed. When the rightful heir was still a child, she stepped forward as regent. But she did not step back. She crowned herself pharaoh. She wore the symbols of divine authority. And Egypt did not collapse. It thrived. For more than 20 years, stability defined her reign, which makes what followed even more revealing. Her statues were removed, her name carved from stone, not in rage, but in calculation, because a successful female ruler complicated the future of kingship. So the real question is not why she ruled, but why her memory had to disappear, and what that silence says about they tried to erase her. They carved her name from sacred stone. They shattered her statues. They replaced her image with another king. For centuries, she vanished, not from history, but from power. Her name was Hatshepsut, and she ruled Egypt as pharaoh, in a civilization where kings were divine, where the throne of Horus passed through male bloodlines, where legitimacy was carved into granite and guarded by gods. She stepped forward. She was never meant to rule alone. When Thutmose II died, the heir was only a child, Thutmose III. Hatshepsut was meant to stand beside him, a regent, a guardian, a temporary solution, but power rarely remains temporary. Months became years. The regent became central. The central figure became indispensable. And then, she did the unthinkable. She crowned herself pharaoh. Not queen, not consort, pharaoh. She adopted the regalia of kingship, the false beard, the nameless headdress, the throne name. She did not erase her femininity. She reframed authority. Egypt did not collapse. There was no rebellion, no civil war, no fractured state. Instead, there was stability. Temples expanded at Karnak. Obelisks pierced the sky. Trade routes reopened. Ships sailed to Punt. Gold flowed from Nubia. Incense trees were planted in temple gardens. She ruled not through conquest, but through construction. Not through endless war, but through calculated prosperity. But prosperity creates visibility, and visibility creates tension. While monuments rose in her name, the child she once protected was growing, watching, training, learning. Thutmose III became a soldier, a strategist, a future conqueror. But he did not move against her. He waited. When Hatshepsut died, Egypt did not tremble. The transition was quiet, but the silence did not last forever. Thutmose III moved quickly. Campaign after campaign, Megiddo,
Her name
the Levant,
was erased.
an expanding empire. Victory gave him legitimacy. Tribute flowed, armies obeyed, and only after his power was unquestioned, the chisels began. Statues were removed, cartouches erased, reliefs altered. Not immediately, not in anger. Decades later. This was not chaos, it was revision. An empire demands continuity, and a female pharaoh complicated lineage. Future succession required clarity, not rebellion, but narrative control. Many scholars argue the erasure was not personal revenge. The timing suggests calculation. The destruction of her monuments began long after his military dominance was secure. He did not need to compete with her. He needed to standardize kingship. In temple ideology, the pharaoh was the earthly embodiment of Horus. A woman occupying that divine role required symbolic adaptation. Hatshepsut had solved this through imagery. She depicted herself in male form. She adopted masculine titles. She fused identity with divine authority. But flexibility can unsettle tradition. If kingship could be redefined once, it could be redefined again. Stability demands boundaries. Archaeology complicates the story further. Not all her monuments were destroyed. Some statues were carefully buried, others were repurposed. was selective removal, strategic, measured, controlled. She was not erased in fury, she was edited. And the difference matters, because history is not only a record of events, it is a record of decisions about which events endure. Today, scholars continue to debate her motives. Was she ambitious? Was she pragmatic? Was she preserving dynastic stability during vulnerability? The evidence points not to chaos, but to competence. Her building program rivals many male rulers. Her trade mission to Punt remains one of the best documented expeditions of the New Kingdom. Her reign marked one of the most internally stable periods of early Imperial Egypt. That is not legend, that is record. History often celebrates conquerors, it glorifies the battlefield, it counts victories in territory and tribute. But power is not built only through war. Sometimes it is built through endurance. Hatshepsut left stability. She left architecture that reshaped sacred space. She left economic systems that strengthened temple networks. She left a dynasty intact. Ruling without collapse is harder than conquering with force. Her inscriptions present divine legitimacy. Her imagery reinforces continuity with her father, Thutmose I. Her architecture embeds her into state religion. These were not impulsive acts, they were strategic. She did not challenge the system from outside, she mastered it from within. And when that system later adjusted her memory, it did so carefully, not to deny her existence, but to simplify succession. Yet history rarely remains simple. The stone survived, the fragments endured, and through archaeology, her voice returned. Hatshepsut stands today not as anomaly, but as evidence. Evidence that power in ancient Egypt was complex, negotiated, constructed. She was neither myth nor mistake. She was Pharaoh, and whether remembered through triumph or through erasure, her reign reshaped the idea of who could rule. Hatshepsut did not inherit power. She constructed it through ritual and stone. And for 2 decades, Egypt accepted her authority as order. In the end, her story is not about gender, it is about authority. Not about rebellion, but about legitimacy. And the question of who defines legitimacy echoes far beyond the Nile.